Hi, I'm Duke Nukem, and you're watching GRTV.
All those of a nervous disposition must look away now.
So, G is back.
G is back, yes. This is a prequel to the other House of the Dead games. He's come with his detective buddy, Detective Washington, to investigate the goings-on in Bayou City.
Must be a huge honor to get your hands on a big franchise like House of the Dead and make your own take on it.
It's been absolutely brilliant. I mean, when we sort of first started talking to SEGA about this, we were over the moon. And then when we found out we were going to be able to do what we've been able to do with the franchise, we're even happier. We've really had a lot of support from SEGA, and as you can see, they've given us the freedom to really sort of go to town and get a completely new look and design to the game.
Can you tell us a little bit how the Grindhouse theme is changing the game and the experience for the player?
Yeah, so we took our inspiration for the look and feel of the game from the Grindhouse movies of the 60s and 70s. So that kind of exploitation, kind of shock horror, over-the-top effects, over-the-top kind of, you know, sort of action and so on, lots of shooting, lots of blood. And we've really applied that all the way through the game. So not only is it actually in the game itself in terms of a kind of a filter on the screen, so it kind of looks like you're looking at kind of degraded sort of celluloid, kind of B-movie style, but also in the way that we've approached the kind of like the cutscenes and the overall storyline. So it really adds a great atmosphere to the game throughout, which is based in kind of Bayou City, a fictional kind of town, a little bit like New Orleans in the southern US, and that kind of like really ties in well with the kind of like the Grindhouse feel.
And it sort of seems like a perfect fit for House of the Dead franchise. Maybe that has even been the theme of the House of the Dead, but not as pronounced as now.
Yeah, I think one of the things that we wanted to do with Overkill was to differentiate between sort of our game and previous iterations. But it's still House of the Dead. I mean, it's still, you know, there's a lot of good stuff in there in terms of the kind of the arcade style kind of shooting and so on. But actually also the kind of slightly dodgy voice acting, slightly strange sense of humour, kind of quite tongue-in-cheek style, and we've managed to keep all of that in Overkill.
Revenge and bodily fluid.
In terms of making this game for console instead of the usual arcade, what kind of how does that affect game design, and what difference will that make to the game?
So we're focused on Wii only, and that means that we get some advantages from that, and we get some disadvantages from that. One of the things we're really trying to get the most out of from the console is to really kind of push the limits on what we're doing from a graphical perspective. So we really want a good-looking game, but we're also doing sort of other features as well. So we've got lots of different sort of types of sort of technical effects in there, from dynamic lighting to surface detection and so on. As a Wii game, obviously it's quite well suited to a light gun shooter game, because we can use the Wii remote for that, obviously. But in other ways, we're sort of trying to kind of get the most out of the console as well, which is obviously has different sort of advantages and disadvantages to some of the other consoles.
I could imagine that the game needs to be a little bit longer than the typical arcade experience.
Yeah, absolutely. So your typical kind of shooter game in the arcade has probably got a playthrough time of about 20 to 25 minutes, and obviously that wouldn't be any good to do a game of that length for a console version. So yes, we're going to have an extended kind of like playthrough time, and we're going to have different modes in the game as well, which will help replay value and you know, the amount of time that the player has actually engaged with the game. Unfortunately, at this point, I can't say too much about that. We're basically going to be talking more in the coming months about sort of what those other modes are and what other things we have in the game. We have two-player drop-in, drop-out co-op all the way through the story mode. So, yep, you can play with a friend. That's when it's more fun. And one of the things, actually, which is interesting about the kind of main feature that we've put in from a kind of like targeting perspective, which we call Wii View, which allows you to look off the kind of like normal camera sort of perspective, is that when you're playing with another player, you have to cooperate to where you're looking, because you can actually sort of conflict with one another. And the idea is therefore that it's proper cooperative. You're actually having to sort of play with these, you know, your friend, rather than just basically be two people on the screen at the same time.
So obviously Headstrong, a new title for your studio, used to be Kudio, but you have had experience with Wii, and you seem like almost like Wii experts. How much of a benefit is that experience when you're making this game?
It's been a huge benefit for us. I mean, we've got a very talented team. We've worked on, as you say, a number of titles before. We just finished Battalion Wars 2, and that really has come to fruition with House of the Dead in terms of the experience that those guys have got of really squeezing the most out of the Wii. And I think that we even surprised ourselves in some ways about what we've been able to do, both from a kind of graphical quality, but also the number of features that we've been able to include in the game.
So Nintendo announced something called the Wii Motion Plus. Is that something that you will feature in the game, do you think?
We're not going to directly support the Wii Motion Plus. That's partly down to the fact that it's only really just been announced, so it will be very late in the development process to actually sort of implement support for that. But also because it will change the nature of the accuracy so much that it would require probably quite a different game, and we're very happy with what we've got currently, and actually it plays very well to the kind of like the Wii controls that we already have.
The House of the Dead. Overkill. Enjoy a bite at Papa Caesar's drive-thru, just 500 meters from this auditorium on the left.